Hi everybody, this is Dazzle representing DCUO Unlimited and leader of the Zero Logic League on the US PC servers. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about gadgets. That's right, gadgets. For all you guys who want to be like Batman, this is the perfect weapon. Now there's a few things that I want to talk to you about gadgets specifically is in controller stance. And I'm going to talk a little bit about basic controlling and stuff like that, just so you guys can get a grip on what we need to do. So alright, so why gadgets? Why do you want to be gadgets? What's better about gadgets being a controller than mental or hard light? So gadgets, what I like about it is power interactions. It's very good power interactions. It works really well with electricity for you electric healers or electric DPSs, and for you ice tanks and ice DPSs. It's really a great works really well with those powers. And I'll explain to you why when I show you the skill tree, but that's just one of the things that I like about gadgets. Also, it's very quick. There's not a lot of animation to it because a lot of it is just grenades and sleep darts and stuff like that, and using it well will be able to get you fast animations and not really a lot of cast times for some of the stuff that you need to throw down. So that's what I like about gadgets. It's a great power. It's my main power, my main tune that I use. That's what I use for controlling. So real quickly, let's just look at the skill tree for gadgets. Alright, so let's see powers. Let's look at the traps tree first. Okay, so we got taser pull. Taser pull is basically your kind of like a grappling hook. The power interactions are great because it electrifies enemy, making them vulnerable to electricity. So like I said before, power interactions. If you got an electric DPS and you throw this down, it's great. It electrifies them and it will give them a little more damage over time with the electrifying them. Also, this is your, in controller stance, this is your power over time. This is controller's bread and butter. Power over time allows you to put out ticks, basically the little blue numbers that come above your head and above all your other teammates' heads. Now, it should be said that with controllers, it's not like when you heal that you can heal yourself and it brings up your bar and everyone else's bar. With controllers, you're basically sharing your power with everyone else's. Now, power over time allows the controller to give out power to each person in the party or in the raid, and it does so with ticks. So it gives you a tick, and then it gives you a little bit of power, and eventually the more power criticals you have, the more crit hits that you get. So like in a raid, that's why it's very important that you don't have two people doing power over time, because the ticks get messed up and then it doesn't know where to go. So now that I said that, taser pull is one of two of the power over time powers that you can cast. It's very good. The only problem I have with taser pull is that it like I said, it pulls people, so it takes the aggro out of the tank a lot of the times, and you definitely don't want that. You want it to be as less aggro you get, the better, you know. So there you go. Taser pull is one of them, but it's a great, it does decent damage in controller roll, and it's pretty good. Fear gas. Now here's another power in action that's pretty decent. It sprays your fear gas to paralyze victims with terror. Now it doesn't do a lot of damage in controller roll. Even as you know, even if your combat rating is pretty high, it doesn't really do that much damage. It does inflict burning on electrified enemies, so if you have taser pull and you pull that out, it does burning on them, which is decent. But that's really all it does. It's not really a great power. It's just an okay. Stealth. Once you enable this, you'll have a special sneak attacks. Now this is really good for lower levels and PvP type stuff, where you can cuff people and you could do certain attacks, which are pretty good. It's a nice little power to have. For raids and stuff, it's kind of useless, honestly, but you know. Then we got defibrillator. This is another one pretty much that you have to be spamming all the time in a raid. For all you PvEers and PvPers, this is where you need to go. The defib restores power to 3 most fatigued group members, and the way it works is that it gives power from it casts power from you to other people, so it distributes your own power to everyone else. So you basically are spamming your power to be able to give out to other people. Now you're going to say, oh, but if I do that and I spam it, then I'm not going to have any powers left. Well, see, with the trollers, our job is to regenerate our power as fast as we can and then give power to the rest of the group. If you have 2 trollers, the best way to do this is what I like to call the seesaw effect, where somebody else can be right next to you and spam defib with you back and forth, and your crits are going to make the group higher. So basically every power that you give out, your other troller gives out the same power, and you both can go seesawing all the way up until you fill everyone's bar up. And that's pretty much the best way to go through a lot of these raids. But yeah, this is your bread and butter. It fatigues. It restores power to the most fatigued group members, increases your might and precision for a short time. So this is actually really good. You know, even if you're DPSing, you pop one of these guys on and you get precision buff. Alright, so we talked about those. Thermite mine, not really a great controlling power. Takes too long. It does quite a bit of damage, but it takes too long for and you gotta wait for somebody to hit it. You basically plant something on the ground and wait for somebody step on it, and it takes too much time. Battle drone, completely and utterly useless. All the pets that gadgets have, all the sentry turrets and all those stuff, they suck. They're very bad. They have low life. You know, their health bars suck. They're not very good. You know, they have power interactions here and there, and this one is a supercharge, and it's 25%, and it's not very good. Okay, next we have Bunker Buster, probably one of the best AoEs in the game in my opinion. It's definitely best DPS supercharge for gadgets. It does have a costly supercharge cost. I mean, it's 100%. So, but if you have a really big mob in a raid, pop one of these suckers and they're all gone pretty much. You might want to, you know, put your defib on so it buffs up your precision and might before you do this. But yeah, or in other cases intimidation, we'll get to in a little bit. Next we have Gauze Grenade, another one of my favorites. Okay, so this zaps out high intensity electrical burst. It's basically just a grenade that you throw. Slow animation, very short cast time, and the power interactions are electricity. So anybody who has an electric DPS on their raid will do great with this. The electricity will make them they'll be vulnerable to electric powers. Also, it reduces enemy defenses in the controller role. So this is really good. This is what you want to have as your go-to power. You always want to throw this at anyone, any bad guy that you want. Now, don't throw, try to prioritize. The first person you want to kill should have the defense debuff, and let the DPS just go at it. But yeah, this is great. Now, Cryofoam, another favorite of mine. Now, the only thing about this that I can say is that you do have to be up close to the mob or to the boss or whoever you're fighting to be able to use this. It's more of a melee thing where you have to be next to them, but it freezes enemy in place with sub-zero foam, so it grounds them. It grounds them and ices them up. Now, once the person is already electrified, so if you use a gauze grenade and you go straight for the cryofoam, it inflicts burning on electrified enemies. So that's really good. And on top of that, it reduces the target's ability to heal and removes power over time effects. Now, this is really good. As far as the way I would play, gauze grenade and cryofoam are probably my best friends right here. Usually in a raid, you want to do the defense debuff and a precision debuff. More than anything, but this helps immensely for gadgets to throw this out, because the heal debuff just kind of allows it debuffs the output of somebody's healing. So it doesn't say that they won't be able to heal. It just says that it'll reduce their healing output. So you want to put those on healer drones and things that are healers. In PvPs, this is what you use on healers. So that's one of the things. So the next one we're going to talk about is Sleep Dart. Love this. In controller role, it you know, reduces the target's damage output and removes damage roll buffs. This is great because it takes their precision and might away, and it's pretty good. I mean, not completely away, it just reduces it, but it does a really good job. And the reason why I use this one is because it is basically long range, so you can throw this and not have to do this. There's other powers in the gadgets that allow you to do this and might even hit harder, but this one is great. It renders the enemy unconscious, so that you see them sleeping, they'll have the little Z's above their head, and it reduces their damage output. Doesn't really actually do any damage, it's just a good movement to use. It's good in the later raids if you don't want to be so melee based. Next up, Neural Neutralizer. It's actually a really good power as far as DPSing. Kind of useless in controller role unless you want to put heavy damage out there, but it doesn't really, so more of a single target hit. Neural Neutralizer. It's great, but it's not, you know, amazing for controllers. For DPS is actually really good. Next one is Cryo Field. Cryo Field is great. Absorbs thermal energy to produce the freezing aura, but as long as you have cryo foam, then you kind of don't need this. This is more of a DPS thing, if any. You know, it inflicts burning on electrified enemies to cause damage over time, which is great. But that already happens when you with the cryo foam. Inflicts frostbite to make enemies vulnerable to freezing effects. While frostbitten enemies may be rooted or encased, burning on electrified enemies will explode. All that is great. It's more of a, definitely more of a DPS thing. Alright, so let's look at the tricks. Now, as you can see, I don't really have much tricks. Now, you can play this as you can, but I really only use a Sticky Bomb. Sticky Bomb is my go-to for power over time. Just like Taser Pull, it gives you power over time. Difference is that Sticky Bomb is a range, and it won't pull anybody, and it won't take away the aggro from the tank, which is very important. It also serves as a small AoE. It'll pop out like about 6-7 hits, and it'll hurt people around him. And they'll jump in the air and everything, and it looks great. It restores power over time. It's just a nice little, you know, even in DPS mode, it's pretty good. Intimidation. Now this is more for DPSs. Basically empowers your attacks to cause additional damage and force enemies to cower in fear. It's great for DPSing. It basically brings up your crit more. So if you want to hit, if you want to get more critical attack chances, then this is the power for you. Sentry Turret. Let's go with that. Sentry Turret's horrible. The only thing good about this is the power interactions. In controller role, it inflicts frostbite with cryogenic rounds that makes enemies vulnerable into freezing attacks. That's great and all if you want to do that, but I guess maybe that would probably be used more for a freezing, like if you have cryo foam and you know, the other freezing power. Those are good, I guess, but it's not really, I mean, the pets, they're not very good for gadgets. Next up is Hide. Hide is kind of cool if you want to hide for a little bit and not get any damaged or anything. It's kind of useless in PvP in my opinion, but I guess, you know, people like it, and if you know how to use it, you can be okay with it. But yeah, so Hide is one of them. It deploys a smoke bomb, prevents damage for a short time, and compels enemies to seek targets other than you. So it's decent if you know, if you're in that moment where, oh snap, I gotta, you know, get away. That's one of them. Suppressor Turret, horrible, same as Sentry Turret, just does a little bit more. Warden Turret, same thing here. You know, blast a potent EMP plus encasement field, inflicts frostbite with cryogenic rounds. All that is great, but it's not very good. The health is very low. It kind of gets in the way in the raids. People are like, you know, whose turret is that? It's in the way, and I don't think it's very good. Anesthetic. Now, anesthetic is a nice little thing. I used it in the lower levels mainly because I wanted that little burst of damage. But remember, everybody, with anesthetic, it kind of goes on your restoration. And if you want to be a controller, you're not caring about restoration because you want to just give power. You're caring about vitalization and cunning and all these other things that you need, dominance. Anesthetic is just, you know, for our us higher levels, don't really need it, but it's good for lower levels. Asphyxiation gas, pretty decent supercharge. If you're in DPS role, this is probably the second best to the bunker buster. If you don't want to use all your supercharge, then this is pretty decent. It does a pretty decent amount of damage. Alright, so next up is Gag Glove. So with Gag Glove, I think this is great. This is sort of like your sleep dart, except with this it's more melee, and it actually does quite a bit of damage. It packs a punch, if you will. Alright, I'm sorry about that. That was horrible. But yeah, Gag Glove is pretty good. It reduces the target's damage output and removes damage rule buffs. It's basically a giant boxing glove coming at you, and you have to be pretty close to use this. So I don't really suggest this if you're squishy or if you don't want to get hurt a lot, you know. Stasis Field. Stasis Field I like a lot. I don't use it right now, but I've used it in the past, and it's great. I recommend it for anybody who wants to use it. Encases enemy with a force field, causing damage over time. Crushes enemies, making them vulnerable to crushing effects. So, power interactions, like I said, this is great for tanks. Specifically earth tanks who have a crushing type tune. This is great for them. It'll hurt them, and it does a lot of damage for you know, for those type of tunes. It also helps out when you just kind of want to isolate a mob and want to just keep throwing them, and you know, it's a good crowd controller, which is what we're supposed to be doing. Alright, so Bomb. Bomb is cool. I like Bomb. It's just a giant bomb that you can throw at people. You kind of put it above your head and throw it at people. It inflicts burning on enemies to cause damage over time, which is great. Reduces the target's ability to heal and removes power over time effects, so that's pretty good. The only problem with this is that it's vulnerable to interrupt. So if somebody interrupts you, your bomb kind of just falls on the floor, and you can't really do much about it. But it does quite a bit of damage, and it's a pretty good buff. Debuff, I mean. Last and not least, Clown Box. Clown Box encloses you inside a giant box, protecting you from damage, and releases the deadly nerve. It's a great little power. I don't really use it that much, so I don't really know much about it. I heard that it got an update recently, so it's pretty decent. Okay, so real quick, iconic powers. Here, as far as trollers, you're going to want to use Intimidating Gaze to up your dominance, Wisdom of Solomon to up your Vita. Powerful Resistance and Nano Weave armor are really more tanks, but I really hate being squishy, and in a big raid like Prime or Gates, you'll never see me go down just because I always have this on, and this is great. This is all these are innates, so there's stats that just stay with you. Great supercharge that just happened for the game update 14. If you trollers don't know about this, this is the answer to speed drain. For Speedster, I'm a Speedster, so I have no problem. I've been using speed drain for a long time, but for those of you who are acrobatics, and for those of you who are flyers, this is your new supercharge for trolling, especially if you're a blue battery. So Word of Power summons lightning to knock back and stun opponents while healing you and restoring powers to you up to 7 group members. So it basically gives power to the whole raid, just like Speed Drain. But with Speed Drain gives you damage over time over the person, and just gives full power to the whole team. But with this one, has a power interaction. So electrifies enemies to make them vulnerable to electrified power effects. So if you throw a gauze grenade and you throw this, it does quite a bit of damage even in controller role, and it heals you, other than Speed Drain, which just gives the damage over time to the boss. This one heals you, so I think that's great, and it's a pretty good power. Alright, now that we talked about that, let's talk about my loadout specifically. This is how I have everything laid out. Sticky Bomb, Gauze Grenade, Sleep Dart, Cryofoam, Defibrillator, and Word of Power. Now, Word of Power can be substituted with Speed Drain. It's just as effective, same supercharge cost. It's pretty good, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's pretty much what you can substitute it with. Defib you must have. There's no other power that restores power like this, so you have to have that if you're a controller. Sticky Bomb, Like I said, you could use taser pull, up to you. I like sticky bomb more. Gauze grenade reduces enemy defenses. Now you can substitute that with like with another power, but you know what? It's the best one that gadgets have. You might as well just stick with it. You know, the other ones that you can substitute is sleep dart. You can substitute sleep dart with gag glove. Also does the same thing. But you know, it's one is melee, the other one's ranged, so you have a good choice there. Depends on how you want to play. And cryofoam. Cryofoam is pretty good. Reduces target's ability to heal. You could substitute this with the bomb, which is it's also very good. Alright, so now we're going to show you how to use these in battle. Alright? Alright guys, so let's see here. As far as how I battle first, I always like to throw first my defense debuff, which is the gauze grenade, and then I give power over time, just so that I can start building the power over time when I lost power, instead of just throwing it out there and it's not really building anything for me. That obviously depends on the raid too. So here we go, gauze grenade, and then power over time. There you go. You see the lightning bolt up there? That lightning bolt will help you out. If everybody else has the lightning bolt, that's great. That's what you want, everybody to have that lightning bolt. You're going to want to cast that every 30 seconds. Now the way you know it works is that when you cast it again, you'll see a white aura around you. So it's still, the lightning bolt is still up there, but you want to throw it back again and get that white aura on you. Alright, so that was a sticky bomb. Now as far as power interactions, you want to do this: gauze grenade and cryofoam. You see it gives away a little bit more damage. It's not really that much, but you know, you want to get him little damage, just a little bit. Now as far as sleep dart, you can see he has the heal debuff. If I throw the gauze grenade, cryofoam, and sleep dart, you see he's sleeping right now. He has a little Z's around him. He has a heal debuff, defense debuff, and precision debuff. So that's very important. Now when you're shooting at the person, I recommend dual pistols because it regenerates your power immediately. Before you throw out the dual pistols, you're going to want to put down your precision debuff, or precision buff for yourself, just so you can get a lot more hits on that person, more criticals, and you can just hit harder, and it regenerates your power immediately. So that's a great interaction right there. I want to show you guys about word over power, so I'm gonna jump a little bit further. Gonna stop the video here and fast forward real quick just so I could build up my supercharge. So here we go. Alright, I'm back. Now I built my supercharge so you guys can see it. Now with this word of power, you're gonna want to throw your electricity. So basically you want to use gauze grenade before you do this. Now let me just go ahead and waste all my power real quick so you guys can see how much it actually goes through. Alright, so I'm going to throw this and my word of power. So as you can see, it does 371. It heals you, and it does quite a bit of damage, and it pretty much brings up all your power back. That includes you and the rest of the group, and it'll do it slowly within about, I think, 10 seconds. It'll put it up. But since people are going to be constantly using it, you're going to want to throw word of power and just spam the defib. So that's pretty much all the gadgets and basic trolling. Just to recap real quick, I got sticky bomb, gauze grenade, sleep dart, cryofoam, defib, word of power, and of my CC trinket. So that's pretty much it. Remember, if you want to build your troller as far as stats go, on your weapons trees, always get your Vita first, then your power criticals, which is your cunning, and then work on your dominance. As long as you have those three, you're gonna be trolling just fine. Alright guys, so I've been Dazzle, representing DCUO Unlimited and leader of the Zero Logic League. I will see you on the next video. Peace.